Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, everybody. Welcome back to my YouTube channel and to the next installment in the Dining Room Central Railroad build. With the helix built and tested in the previous installments, you may think that it is time to get on with the upper deck. But there are actually a few things that I need to take care of before I get there. So in this installment, I will do those. Anyway, without further ado, let's just get out into that workshop and get to work. Well, just before I went in for lunch, I cleaned up the edges with a belt sander all the way around here where these curves are. I also drilled wiring holes through each of the supports. This afternoon I want to get the bench work extended around this corner all the way to the swing gate. So I'm going to work on that. I'll probably go from both ends and meet up in the middle. Haven't decided yet. There is a grade along most of that length. It's not quite a maximum 2% grade, but I do need to leave room for vertical curves at both ends. So it'll be fairly close. It'll probably be about 1.5 by the time I'm done. I think what I'm going to do next is get a plywood top cut to go in this area. I'm going to attach it firmly to the first 3 joists and then let this gap be the vertical curve and then a smooth grade from there. So let me get some pieces cut and I will be right back. Well, this piece now fits perfectly. Before I install it, I'm going to draw around it on some blue foam so I don't have to repeat the marking out process. And also, it's a few inches longer than it needs to be. It'll be trimmed approximately where that line is, but I haven't worked out exactly yet. So let me continue and I'll be right back. Don't go away. Well, I have 2-pieced that foam because that allowed me to use the long skinny offcut that I had. The first 3 ribs have been screwed down permanently as far as here, and then I'm going to gradually ease this upwards as the grade starts, and then the grade will run all the way around the curve at the end over the trestle and end up on the swing gate, so that by the time we get to the fixed section again it will be level. So let me continue work and I'll check in with you again later. Don't go away. Well, I've got all the bench work and sub road bed in from the end all the way around through the trestle. This last piece of plywood is just resting loosely in place. The grade is accurate. I don't know what it calculates out at, but I suspect somewhere in the region of 1.5%. It's a lot less than the ruling grade. Before I continue, I need to put another piece of track in, but I don't feel like doing that today. So I'm going to go in now, and I will come back out either tomorrow or Monday. So don't go away, I will check in with you again later. Well, that's all I'm going to do this morning. I have put this piece of track in as far as the moving section. I've worked out the supports for this last piece of fixed sub-road bed, and I've got everything glued in place along here. Well, the top piece is just holding the piers. The piers are glued at the bottom, and I need to let that glue go hard before I disturb it, and then I can come back and work out what I need in the way of an end support for the fixed piece. And that's as far as I planned on doing today anyway, because it's Saturday and I have visitors coming later and I want to get cleaned up and the stuff I need to do inside as well. So I'll check in with you Monday. Don't go away. Well, it has been a few days since I've been out in the workshop. The day that my visitors left, I came down with COVID, and that was 3 days ago. But I'm not going to let a little thing like that keep me out of the workshop any longer. So the plan for the day is to finish this sub-road bed. This piece is not glued and I am missing supports where the clamp is. Other than that, the sub-road bed is in all the way back. So once I have finished this, I'm then going to get the backdrop in around the outside of the helix, and maybe I will do the fascia around this corner. Well, this little piece was kind of awkward to get right because I have to hang it in the middle of space with nothing to measure off. So I started by clamping my 4-foot level to the bottom of the railroad frame, and then I just built these brackets backwards, attached 2 short pieces of plywood to the helix supports, cut off at the right angle, and then I just worked it out bit by bit. Well, there is the first piece of backdrop cut. It is almost right. I'm still going to make some adjustments. The problem is that the sub-road bed is fouling it down here, preventing it from going flat against the helix. So I'm going to have to take it out and cut a notch down there. It just needs to come back about 1/4 of an inch. And then I think it should fit. So let me do that and I'll be right back. This piece of backdrop is now permanently installed. It was a bit awkward to get all the glue in the right places, but I figured out a way of doing it eventually. And I got hardly any spills. All I can sensibly do now is leave those clamps on there for a few hours, let the glue set up. In fact, I think I want to leave those on there till tomorrow. But I'm going to go and get some lunch, and then when I come out afterwards, I will work on the next bit, which probably means I'm going to have to put temporary screws in the end here. But that's no big deal, I will just spackle the joint anyway. So don't go away, I'll check in with you again later. Well, I've got as far as I can with the backdrop around the peninsula. Got the 2 big bits on, and a little piece at the end, and that little piece on that side. I can't do these 2 curved bits yet until I can remove the clamps, which will be tomorrow morning. So I've started working on the fascia around in front of the trestle, and with that in mind I had to take off the temporary brace that was down here and add another one, or add the new one first so that that didn't move, underneath so I can wrap it around on top. And I've positioned this end accurately with the aid of clamps and a temporary ledger board to rest it on. And if we go back round the back of it again, I have marked approximately where I'm going to make the first cut. The narrower it is, the easier it is to bend around the curve, but obviously I don't want to risk going too low, so at the moment it's still way higher than it probably needs to be. This mark here is approximately where this post is, and I will cut a curve in here a couple of inches past there, and the one high piece of fascia will be divided top and bottom just past that post. So let me get this shaped and I'll be right back. Don't go away. Well, here is this piece of fascia cut to the right shape and temporarily clamped in place. I haven't put any glue in yet because I've just been making sure that I have enough clamps available of the appropriate sizes. So now that I've done that, I can mark where the glue needs to go, take it off and put it back in permanently. So let me get on with that quickly and I'll be right back. Don't go away. Well, that piece of fascia is now permanently installed, and I had 1 usable clamp left over. I needed to put screws in a few places in the middle, 4 along there and 1 around the other side, but those will come out and the holes will be spackled eventually. And that's about all I can do today, because as I say, I don't have many clamps left. And it's almost 5 o'clock as well, so there's no point in waiting for glue to set and trying to salvage them for something else. So I'm just going to pack up now, head inside, and I'll see you tomorrow. Don't go away. Well, this morning, first thing I did was to remove all the screws and the clamps. The paper that I put in between the two parts of the helix to stop them gluing together will probably have to remain until it gets dismantled for shipping, because I can't really get them out. This morning I want to continue just going around as far as I can with the pieces I got left. I'm not going to bother cutting the last full sheet. I'm just going to use up all the pieces, get as far as I can. And if I've got any that are wide enough, I will do the curved infill bits of the backdrop as well. I don't plan on spending all day out here today. I've got plenty of work to get on with inside, but I wanted to get this part finished. Well, that is all I can do with the pieces of masonite I have available right now. As I said earlier, I don't want to cut the last whole sheet until I'm ready to put some more large pieces on, because all this will ultimately use offcuts from that. This piece of fascia around the end is still way too tall. The idea being that I don't really know what the landscape is going to be like at this end. With such narrow bench work, the goal is going to be to get it as low as possible to maximize the visible surface of scenery. So obviously the landscape wants to be significantly taller at the back and shorter at the front, but I don't know how much yet. So that is why I have left it way too tall. Yes, I know at the moment it really looks hideous, I think is a good word for it, because it's just out of proportion with the rest of the railroad. But it'll look a whole lot better once it's cut down. I'm not sure whether I will do that or whether I will deliver it like that and let the client deal with it himself. But at least by leaving it tall at the moment, we have options.
Well, that's all for this week's video. I hope you enjoyed the show. In the next instalment, I will be starting on the upper deck framing, and I hope to see you there. Thanks for watching, and bye for now.